In a village nestled among rolling green hills, where cottages with thatched roofs dotted the landscape, lived a young shepherd boy named Leo. Every morning, just as the sun peeked over the mountains, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, Leo would lead his fluffy flock of sheep up the grassy slopes. His days were long and quiet, filled mostly with the gentle baaing of the sheep and the soft rustle of the wind through the tall grass. He knew each sheep by name. There was Daisy with the floppy ear, Barnaby with the deep, rumbling baa, and little Pip, who always tried to nibble on his shoelaces. At first, Leo loved his job. He'd lie on his back, watching fluffy white clouds drift across the vast blue sky, imagining they were dragons, castles, or even giant, floating sheep. He'd practice his shepherd's whistle, trying to make it as loud and clear as the one his grandfather used. But as the days turned into weeks, the quiet stillness started to feel, well, a little boring. Down in the village, he could hear the distant sounds of laughter and chatter. The baker would be pulling out hot, crusty bread. The blacksmith's hammer would be ringing, and children his age would be playing games in the market square. Leo sighed, feeling a pang of loneliness. One particularly slow afternoon, as his sheep grazed peacefully, a mischievous idea popped into Leo's head. It started as a tiny spark, then grew into a brilliant, exciting plan. What if, just for a moment, he could have everyone's attention? What if he could bring the whole village running up the hill, just for him? His heart started to beat a little faster. He took a deep breath, cupped his hands around his mouth, and yelled at the top of his lungs, "Wolf! Wolf! A wolf is chasing the sheep!" His voice echoed down the valley. Instantly, the peaceful village erupted into action. The blacksmith dropped his hammer, the baker left his oven, and farmers grabbed their pitchforks. They all came scrambling up the hill, their faces etched with worry. "Where is it, Leo? Where's the wolf?" shouted Mr. Gable, the blacksmith, his face red from the climb. Leo, trying to hide a grin, pointed vaguely towards the woods. "Oh, it was big and gray with sharp teeth. But I think you all scared it away." The villagers looked around, but there were no wolf tracks, no scared sheep, just Leo, looking a little too pleased with himself. Mrs. Gable, the baker, patted his shoulder. "Well, thank goodness you're safe, dear boy. You did the right thing calling for help." As they all trudged back down the hill, muttering about the clever wolf, Leo felt a thrill of excitement. It worked! For a moment, he had been the center of everyone's world. A few days later, the familiar feeling of boredom crept back in. The sun was hot, the sheep were sleepy, and nothing exciting was happening. Leo remembered the rush he felt, the way everyone had stopped what they were doing just for him. He couldn't resist. Once again, he took a deep breath and shouted, "WOLF, wolf! It's back! A huge wolf is here!" And once again, the loyal villagers came rushing to his aid. They were even faster this time, determined to protect the boy and his flock. But when they arrived, they found the same scene as before, calm sheep chewing on grass and a shepherd boy struggling to look frightened. Suspicion began to cloud their faces. "Leo," said a farmer sternly, "are you certain you saw a wolf?" Leo nodded eagerly, but his eyes darted around, avoiding theirs. "Yes, I promise." It was even bigger this time. But it ran off again. The villagers exchanged doubtful glances before turning back down the hill. This time, their footsteps were heavier, and their voices were quiet with disappointment. Leo knew they didn't believe him, but he didn't care. The attention was too much fun. So, he did it a third time the following week. "WOLF, wolf, help!" He screamed, even louder than before. But this time, only a few villagers slowly made their way up the hill. Most just shook their heads and continued with their work. That boy, they grumbled. He thinks this is a game. When the few who came saw there was no wolf, they didn't say a word. They just gave Leo a long, sad look and walked away. Leo felt a small prick of guilt, but he quickly pushed it aside. Then, one evening, as the sun began to set, casting long, dark shadows across the fields, something changed. A low growl rumbled from the edge of the forest. Leo froze. Peeking out from behind a thicket of dark trees were two glowing yellow eyes. It wasn't a shadow. It wasn't his imagination. It was a real wolf, large, gray, and menacing, its sharp teeth bared in a snarl. Panic seized Leo like an icy hand. This was real. The wolf crept forward, its eyes fixed on the frightened, bleeding sheep. Leo scrambled to his feet, his heart pounding in his chest. He took the deepest breath of his life and screamed, "Wolf! Wolf! Please help! There's a real wolf! I'm not lying this time!" He yelled until his throat was raw, his voice filled with genuine terror. But down in the village, no one moved. They heard his cries, of course. The baker sighed, "There goes Leo again." The blacksmith shook his head, "He won't fool us this time." They believed it was just another one of his tricks. No one came. Leo was truly alone. The wolf lunged, scattering the terrified sheep in every direction. Leo, armed with only his small wooden crook, did his best to chase it away, shouting and waving his arms. But he was just a boy, and the wolf was a powerful predator. He watched in horror as the wolf chased his flock, scattering them into the dark woods. By the time the wolf finally disappeared back into the forest with a few of his sheep, the rest were gone, lost and frightened in the twilight. As darkness fell, a tearful Leo stumbled back down the hill to the village. The streets were quiet. He went straight to Mr. Gable's workshop. "A wolf," he sobbed, his voice trembling. "A real wolf came, and the sheep are gone." The blacksmith looked at the boy's pale, tear-streaked face and saw the real fear in his eyes. This time, he knew it was true. The news spread quickly. The villagers felt a heavy sense of guilt, but they also knew why they hadn't responded. The next morning, they all went up the hill with Leo to search for his lost sheep. They spent the entire day combing the woods and the hillsides. They managed to find most of the flock, huddled together in hidden ravines and behind large rocks, but a few were lost forever. That evening, a somber Leo sat with his grandfather, watching the smaller flock. "I'm so sorry, Grandpa," he whispered. "It's all my fault. I lied, and when I finally told the truth, nobody believed me." His grandfather put a comforting arm around him. "Leo," he said softly, "trust is like a very fragile thread. It's easy to break, but very, very hard to mend. When you tell the truth, people will always be there for you. But if you play with their trust, you may find yourself all alone when you need them most." Leo nodded, the weight of the lesson settling deep in his heart. From that day on, he never told another lie. He worked hard to earn back the trust of the villagers, always being honest and responsible. He learned that the respect and trust of his friends and neighbors were far more valuable than a few moments of mischievous fun. And though he never forgot the scary night he faced the wolf alone, he also never forgot the important lesson it taught him. Thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe for more stories.